is very important to understand the differences between capitalism, communism, and socialism. So we're going to move through this video and we'll explain the three a little bit more in depth. Capitalism, communism, socialism. What do you think of? Each of these are an economic system. And an economic system is a system of production and an exchange of goods and services, as well as an allocation of resources in society. So what does that basically mean? It means that an economic system is a way in which goods and services are provided to the people in the community or the country. There are three major economic systems that were created during the Industrial Revolution, and we're going to look at each one of these in depth. The first is capitalism, the second is communism, and the third is socialism. So here we go. Before we go any further, I want you to pause this video and you are going to click on the link that I have in the description of the video and watch this video. It will help you understand this a little bit more in depth. Since we aren't in class together, I'm going to give you a demonstration of what this game would look like. The purpose of this game is to help you understand the differences between capitalism, communism, and socialism. To start, the two people who are going to be playing have been given peanut M&Ms. We didn't have any Starbursts, so peanut M&Ms had to work. Each person has been given some peanut M&Ms. One person has been given 6 peanut M&Ms, representing the upper class. The other person has been given 2 peanut M&Ms, representing the lower class. Now we're going to engage in some competition in the form of rock, paper, scissors, and we will play 5 rounds and see how things look at the end of 5 rounds. Here we go. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. So you have to give me one of your peanut M&Ms. Okay. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Okay, keep going. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Oh dear. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Alright, you have to give me another peanut M&M. Keep going. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Give me another one. Okay, we're playing 2 more rounds. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. You have to give me another peanut M&M. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. And one more. So as you can see, under the system of capitalism, the person who started out with more peanut M&Ms doesn't necessarily end up with the most. So under capitalism, people have the ability to rise and fall depending on the work that they do. What is capitalism? Well, the game that you just saw with the candy is an example of capitalism. We already established that capitalism is an economic system. Under capitalism, there is the belief that individual ownership and competition will help the economy to be successful. That means that people own their own businesses and own their own things and compete against each other in order to make money and be successful. The theory is that when everyone is selfish and concerned with personal profit, then ultimately everyone will end up benefiting. The man who created the concept of capitalism is Adam Smith. He wrote the book Wealth of Nations, and he felt like capitalism was good for the society, that it was the best economic system. There's a picture of Adam Smith. So what's good about capitalism? First of all, there's freedom and choice under the economic system, capitalism. You can work wherever you want, buy whatever you want, and pretty much do whatever you want. If you're successful, you can be very successful. Think about the rich people that we know of, Bill Gates, President Trump, people who created Apple, Steve Jobs. They have the ability to be very successful. It's a system of survival of the fittest. Only the strong will survive in capitalism. There's also some bad things about capitalism. The first is there is no safety net. If you fail, and the government is not going to come in and save you. If you're unsuccessful, you can be very unsuccessful. You can be dirt poor. You can lose everything under the system of capitalism. There can be a huge gap between the rich and the poor under the system of capitalism. That doesn't necessarily have to be the case. This is the pyramid of capitalism. Now we're going to demonstrate socialism. Each of us have divided the candy now between the two of us. We're going to again play 5 rounds and we'll see how things end up at the end of 5 rounds. So we're starting out equal. Everyone has the same amount. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Okay, so you give me one. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Now I give you one. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Okay, you give it back. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Give me another one. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Apparently I'm not very good at this game.
So even though we both started out with the same amount of peanut M&Ms, the results were about the same and I ended up winning. However, you did see how there was a time where we were even, or we were close to even again. So that is the demonstration for socialism. Communism and socialism. What's the difference? They're very similar, but there are some differences between them. So let's take a look at that. Socialism is the stage between capitalism and communism. So if you have capitalism on the right, you would have socialism in the middle and communism on the left. Socialism nationalizes the means of production. That means corporations, banks, and raw materials are all controlled not by individual people, but by the government. In capitalism, corporations, banks, and raw materials are controlled by the people. Communism, they're controlled by the government. Not everyone is equal under socialism. People are paid wages based on several factors. How much the society needs what you're creating, how difficult the job is, the amount of school required to do the job. So not everyone under socialism will make the same amount of money. Now I'm going to show you what communism looks like. In this demonstration now, the government has taken over all of our candy. Would me giving you some candy make you feel better?
Yes.
All right, so I will give you one piece of candy because that is all that we need according to the government in order to survive. No rock, paper, scissors. You just get what the government gives you and that's it.
Thank you.
Here we go. What is communism? Communism is also an economic system. It believes in collective or group ownership and a planned economy where the government makes the decisions. The theory is that everyone pools their resources and labor together and then it is evenly distributed among all of the people. Everyone gets an equal amount of everything, regardless of how hard you work or you don't work. Karl Marx is the man who came up with the idea of communism. He wrote the Communist Manifesto, and it was about class struggles and the problems of capitalism. He also wrote Das Kapital in 1867, and it was a critique or a picking apart of capitalism. And he wrote both of these books with Friedrich Engels. This is a picture of Karl Marx. Let's take a little bit closer look at the Communist Manifesto. The main problem that Karl Marx explains in the Communist Manifesto is the class struggle. The struggle between the people who have and the people who don't have. This leads to a dictatorship of the proletariat, the middle class. The dictatorship of the proletariat requires a transition to the ending or the abolition of all classes, and the goal for communism is to create a classless society. We're getting rid of property, we're getting rid of heavy taxes, and we're getting rid of central banking. The state controls communication, transportation, and education. So, what are some good things about communism? First of all, there's security. You feel like your basic needs are being met under communism. Basic needs, food, clothing, and shelter. Everyone should have a job, a house, healthcare, etc. There's no survival of the fittest. At least that's the goal. Everyone is given the same thing. Obviously, it sounds great, right? Who wouldn't support this idea? However, there are some bad things about communism as well. First, there's no choice. You get what you get from the government. There's no reward for being a better worker, and there's no punishment for slacking off on your job. So there's no incentives to do your best, and there's no consequences if you choose to just slide under the radar. Everyone is expected to be the same. There's a lack of focus on individual growth. So according to Marx, this is the way that things should go. There's basic communism, which progresses to feudalism. Feudalism progresses to capitalism. Capitalism progresses to socialism, and socialism moves on over to communism, which is Karl Marx's ultimate goal. Marx and Engels studied history of the world's economies, and this is what they came up with. They believe they discovered this inevitable pattern. Now your assignment is to fill in the capitalism versus communism chart, which is attached to the assignment here. You also need to read over the capitalism and socialist papers and answer the questions that go with them. I hope this gives you a better understanding of the differences between capitalism, communism, and socialism.